Yeah. Good morning, folks. This is Waylon Lewis of Elephant Turtle, and I'm coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado. Probably on a 30-second delay because we are crowdcasting all the way to Hawaii with Brooklynn Bosworth. Hello,
Hey
Brooklyn.
guys, good morning.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear me? What about now?
Did we mute something? It's all right. We shall fix it quickly. It is only a button.
Hopefully.
In this moment, everyone can just think about their mom, dad, well, change the speakers. Can we hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Oh, good morning.
So we got all the mistakes out of the way, right up top. That's our style. Brooklyn, maybe just tell us, kind of who the heck you are, and what do you do? Who are you, and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? I'm Brooklyn. I live in Hawaii, and I like to write sex poetry.
Nice. That's a good bio. And are you a yoga? What do you do for a living?
Yeah, I teach yoga. That's where the income comes from.
Nice.
Yeah.
So recently you wrote Mango on Elephant, and I would think, Callie, your editor at Elephant, other people all loved it. Readers loved it. It was super popular. And I read it and I was really kind of surprised and delighted because I think in this Me Too movement and moment, which is very important and inspiring to a lot of us and very difficult and painful at the same time, I think a lot of us have forgotten that consensual, which is a key word, sex can be super awesome and delightful and amazing and delicious and all that. So I thought to invite you onto the show and talk about, which, you've already talked about a bit, but kind of empowered or taking back the pleasure and the delight in sex. So I thought maybe I would invite you to start this with you reading Mango, if you would be willing.
Yeah, I would love to. Let me pull it up really quickly. All right. So, adult content warning, obviously.
Yes.
Disclosure. Right. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Well, I'm ready for this, but definitely adult content.
Definitely adult content. Pardon, my friend. All right. Mango. I like the way you bite at the meat inside my right thigh. Your teeth pull playfully at my skin, like digging into the flesh of a ripe mango. Sweet and sticky, juice dribbles down your chin, tasting me. And I like when you surface for a breath of fresh air, gulping it in before eagerly diving back under the sheets. But not before planting one of those mango sweet kisses on my mouth. Me tasting me. So I've found I like my flavor, sex and happiness and freedom. I like the way it clings to your lips for a moment. I'm making love to myself. Me fucking me. Because that's what I believe sex should be for women. After generations of shame and denial, I want you to revel in how you taste too. Your flavor on another's lips, on your lips. I want you to feel like everything holy that has ever graced this earth when he murmurs into your right thigh, you taste so damn good. I want you to release against the tongue that laps at the temple between your legs, like the fresh fruit of my mango tree I pick every June. Peel her skin back with my teeth, sink into her meat. I like to see him sticky with my fruit, the same way I get every summer.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for being brave or foolhardy enough to be willing to read that on Elephant. So first of all, that's just so awesome and delightful. Yeah, thank you. So I guess, I want to really hear from you kind of how do you feel about this whole moment with Me Too and being an empowered a woman who, you talked about in your Instagram story about talking about taking back sex or delight in sex. Yeah.
Just as a woman, I mean, we talk about sex too, believe it or not. I know it's like hush hush, but for me and for many of the women that I know, oral sex particularly is something that can be so nerve-wracking. It's something like, I don't want to let a new partner do it on me. I'm worried about how I look, or, everything that goes on. There's a lot of shame and nerves surrounding our image on our body, particularly our nether regions of the body.
Yeah, we have if I may, we have a blog on Elephant that's been super popular. It was written years ago called something like My Ugly Vagina. And it's by this amazing woman. It's this amazing article kind of talking about the history of, I think, largely men shaming women about their
your vulva, your vagina, what it looks like. So for me, I mean, so many people I know just would refuse oral sex. Like, I don't even want to go there. I don't want to worry about what my partner's going to think of me. And it makes me sad. It's something that's so beautiful, and there's really no way to be closer to your partner. And so in writing this, I wanted it to be a force to reckon with women. Like, damn it, you are so beautiful, and you should be able to fully enjoy that moment and not worry about what you have going on. Like, this isn't about what you think. It's about how you feel. And I think that now more than ever, it's important to empower women to enjoy their sexuality. So,
talking with, a younger sister or a younger friend, particularly like those teenage years when you're kind of developing your sense of self and your body and shame or celebration of sex, what would you say to them in this current moment? Because Me Too is incredibly empowering. And at the same time, any movement like this can tend toward, people can mistake the understandable anger that's surrounding and involved in Me Too as being almost like anti-sex. And it's really not. It's anti-rape. It's anti-harassment. It's anti-assault.
I think that, right now there is this huge push to take back, your bodily autonomy and that consent. And it's like, no, this is mine and I get to draw the line and you don't get to draw the line. And so understandably, like you said, there is a lot of anger and a lot of pain and a lot of healing taking place right now. Women and men, all kinds of people are learning how to stand up for themselves and understand that it's okay to have boundaries, and you don't need to be a pushover or conform just for sake of someone else's pleasure, just because you're worried about the repercussions. You get to have that voice now, finally. And of course, there's so much focus on taking back that voice. And so really harnessing that power, like, hey, fuck off. Can I say that?
Yeah. Okay. I think we've crossed that line in this video.
Good.
From the get-go.
And so I think now it's very important to have a voice that reminds people that good for you. So happy you've taken back this power and you're in charge of yourself and you deserve to feel safe. And now that you've done that, you also deserve to feel pleasure in a real way. And especially survivors that are healing from assault, that might be something that's way down the line for them. They're going to need to take their time, and it's going to look different for everyone. Healing looks different for everyone. But my hope for everyone that I know that's gone through this, everyone that I don't know that's gone through this, is just that you should be able to take that pleasure back. It's this inherent right for your body, and you deserve it. Everyone deserves it. And so if I was going to talk to my younger sister, I have a younger sister, it would just be, know your boundaries. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. And also, don't be afraid to speak your mind. If you want them to go to the left a little, be like, hey, go to the left a little. Like, you deserve to feel good, just as good as your partner, always.
And not just speaking your mind, which is vital, feeling like you can, but also being willing to have, I've written about this, being willing to have uncomfortable conversations. Because often you're not dealing with our sort of stereotype notion of a bad sexual harasser person. You're with a partner who you like or love or respect or have arguments with, or, it's a human situation. And so many women and men feel so uncomfortable, like saying go a little to the left, having any kind of conversation about that kind of stuff.
It's because you're worried about what your partner's going to think. You love your partner, or you like your partner, or at least you want your partner to think you're sexy. And so there's this fear surrounding voicing your opinion. Like, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to make them feel bad. Like a lot of people aren't like, oh, go to the left, because they're like, oh shit, they're going to think that they suck at this, and they don't. But like, it would just be better if they did this. So I don't want to hurt their feelings. So instead, I'm going to sacrifice my own good time.
And it's so interesting because that whole fear of offending someone, which is understandable and kind of considerate and sweet on one hand, is a lack of intimacy. Like, this is the most intimate thing we ever do, really. So you have to be intimate, as you said so eloquently, with your feelings as well, and be able to express yourself and say, I don't really like that. Can you do, whatever?
Yeah, like, let's try this. And I think it is practice in like learning that vernacular, how to navigate these things with communication. And I practice in my mirror. I talk to myself in the car all the time. If you're not sure how to tell your partner, it's always a good way to just suggest, be like, you know what? I heard from Barb that we should try this because her and Steve love it. You don't have to directly be like, I really don't like when you do this. If you're uncomfortable with that to start, it can start with like, well, why don't we try this? And then giving that positive feedback. Like, that was amazing. I had a great time doing this, more so than I've had in ages with these other methods. So figuring out communication.
I mean, since we're there, I think we've all been with partners, men and women, who, when you get together, they kind of just say, just go for it. Just kind of get it over with almost. And it's always really kind of sad and heartbreaking to hear that. And because some people really have had such an experience of sex or intimacy that's just not fulfilling emotionally or perhaps physically as well. And, to really, if that moment arises for particularly young men, kind of say, no, like, let's talk about this. I want this to be a mutual experience, not just a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, kind of thing,
Exactly. No, it's true. And I've definitely had partners be like, tell me what you like. I mean, like, sexting, I think, is such a popular thing. And at one point or another, I would hope that someone that is trying to get in your pants is going to be like, what are you into? And I think that that's a really good window to voice what you like. They're just trying to get you all riled up, and it's like a fun little exchange. And you can use that space to be like, well, I like this and this and this, and I don't like this. And it's okay to say these things. And I just think there's no dialogue on sex. And I grew up in a very religious community. The sex ed education was just that is abstinence, don't do anything else. And, if you do, then you're like unworthy. And, if that's your religious cup of tea and it works for you, I support that. But I think that the most important thing, especially within this Me Too movement, where there's been so much, abuse and assault and taking advantage of, the education is the most important part. It doesn't have to be all like porn and sexy, but understanding how your body works, and then encouraging our young people to figure it out. Like, take some time alone with yourself, get to know what you like, get to know what you're comfortable with before you bring another person into the mix. And then we're just all setting ourselves up for success. But if we're only preaching to our young people, don't do it ever until you want to make a baby, that's when the dangerous behavior comes in. That's when it's risky. I was young. I didn't know anything about the dangers that surround sex. And it's kind of a miracle I'm still healthy, honestly. So as someone that grew up in that situation, I think that it's just very important to have an open dialogue with everyone, young, old, and encourage that healthy communication between, your mind and your body. Get to know yourself.
Yeah, on abstinence, we've done a lot of articles on that over the years. We could put some in about safe sex. I did a blog about what's the greenest, safest sex. But, abstinence is the least safe sex. Because, teenagers got a lot of hormones going on.
You can do it anyway,
Yeah, when the going gets hot and heavy, you're not going to be like,
let's stop.
yeah, let's stop, generally. And then you go in without any education, without any protection. So I understand that it's appealing to some religious folks and also to parents and concerned daddies and all that. But, again, as parents, I'm not a parent, but we parents need to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations, the birds and the bees, with our children too. And I know I'm going to do that if and when I have a daughter. I'm going to, make sure the thing you can trust the most is an empowered, kick-ass woman who knows how to take care of herself.
Definitely.
So what are a couple, maybe practical tips, again, sort of for the younger sister kind of idea? If you're out drinking at a bar, protecting your drink, or, what kind of guy do you look for? There's the whole cliche of nice guys always lose and the assholes always get it,
It's true. I mean,
the whole dynamic seems so sad in a way.
it is sad and it's very confusing. And it's sad because our society has kind of begun to raise our young people to, be that cool guy or cool girl, if you got to be the tough one and put on this facade and lie and get your way in there. And so, nice guys finish last. Go for the nice guy. Let him take you out to dinner. If someone is acting like a jerk in the first 30 minutes, he's a jerk. Like, it's just that simple. And same with girls. It's the same across both.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And I think just always being very honest. When I meet people, I'm always like, hey, I have no filter. And I will say whatever I want to say. And it did take me a long time to get there. It wasn't overnight. Like, I'm just comfortable acting crazy and being super open. But practicing that and just being forward. Because if someone doesn't like you for being forward, you shouldn't like them. You shouldn't want to spend time with them. You shouldn't want to get intimate with them if they certainly can't listen to, your quirks and everything else you want to tell them.
Yeah. And I'm in a little liberal bubble here in Boulder, but I can say from personal experience of dating the last however long, many years, that it's incredibly attractive when women are empowered and kind of independent and forward. And there's this whole sort of like backward 1950s cliche that women need to kind of wait in the corner and be pure. Instead of just like say whatever they want and enjoy sex on their own terms. And
no, I think definitely just being yourself, being honest, being upfront. And it comes back to getting to know yourself so that you can have that honest conversation and, give the nice guys and girls a chance.
Yeah.
Be forward, have a talk about sex before you actually do it, what you're comfortable with. Because so many times it's just the guessing game. You get into bed with someone. It's like, well, what's actually going to happen? What are they into? What am I getting myself into? And that can be exciting, but that can also be really dangerous and really scary. And overall, you're going to have a better experience for yourself, particularly if you kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah. And you take it like one step at a time. Like for myself, I was lucky enough. I don't think I really learned it anywhere, but just to sort of in a very present way, like it's almost like a dance. And then it's incredibly mutual the whole way, instead of it being kind of this whole guessing game and clumsy and offensive, or,
it's true.
I think very intimate and personal.
It is. And it should be. And, it should be about the journey, not the destination. You're not as race to orgasm. If you can learn to enjoy and experience your intimacy, like you said, being present, then you don't have to worry, because, it can stop at any time. You can call the cord on that whenever you're ready. And that was something that I never learned growing up and was never taught, is that just because you start a situation and it's heating up and you get the ball rolling, it doesn't mean you have to keep the ball rolling. And I think a lot of people feel pressured once they get going, like, oh, like I'm a little bit nervous, like I'm not really ready for this, but I helped start this. And so now I'm obligated to, follow through. And you're not obligated to follow through. And never at any time, for no reason at all, you can be like, tapping out. And that's fine. And we need to have that conversation so that
tapping out. I like that.
Yeah, they can tap out. And then also so that partners know if your partner taps out, like, you have to be cool with it. Like, you don't get to be like, I didn't get mine. Like, you have to be like, yeah, I
You can't
respect
talk
you.
about it.
You can
You
talk about it.
can.
You can talk about it for sure. Like why? Like, why do you want to stop? What can I do to make you feel more comfortable? What was happening? Like, have a dialogue. Be open. Don't just be like, bye, Felicia, and go pot in the corner. Like, tell your partner what's up. Even if it's just like, oh man, like I have a stomach ache today. That's
Right.
okay. But
Right.
talking about it and knowing that it's okay to be like, let's tap out.
Yeah, I love that. Tap out. Yeah, there was that great article in the New Yorker that went super viral. I think it was the New Yorker about, it was something about a cat. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? It
No.
was this, yeah, it was a short story. It went super viral. If you Google like cat dating, I think it was in the New Yorker, but it was about this young woman. She was like 20 when she met this dude in a bar who's like 35, and she thought he was kind of cute and nerdy. And they wound up having sex, and she like wasn't enjoying it from the very beginning. Like the vibe was off, but she felt like she had kind of asked him out and gone after him. And because of that, she felt obligated to go through with it. So it was basically this super, I think that's why it went so viral. It was fiction, but it was about that really uncomfortable, like she was kind of a kick-ass independent woman. And because of that, she had sought him out, kind of hunted him down. And then once it got sexual, she really wasn't enjoying it, but she went through with it because she felt like she was obligated. And the final line, I won't ruin the short story, but the final line of the short story is, very controversial and very powerful. Do you guys find what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's called Cat Person.
Cat Person.
Cat.
It's definitely worth reading for men and women. And I can say, on the man side, it can be this moment. I'm talking about this being sexual with someone is very scary because you definitely don't want to offend or cross the line or anything. So it can be a little bit like, what do you call it? Tiptoeing on tulips or something? What's the expression? Eggshells.
Dude, I like tulips better.
Yeah. It's like tiptoeing on tulips. Why would you do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, don't step on the flowers. So, and that fear on the one hand or concern is healthy and good. And that's what this moment is encouraging. On the other hand, we still want to have that intimacy and play and delight that your poem really encapsulated for so many people. So.
Yeah, no, I think that, that dialogue is important. And, I haven't read that article yet. I definitely will as soon as we hop off here, but
yeah,
I fully resonate with it. I've had the same experience. And I think that almost every young person has, regardless of your gender. I think that we feel that pressure once we get involved because we see it in the media, we see it online and everywhere, hear it from our friends, made it to home base. So it's that feeling that you have to follow through because everyone likes to be dependable and reliable. And if you tap out, like we were saying, then you're kind of worried about what that makes you. And you don't need to. It doesn't make you anything. It just makes you honest. And it's going to allow you to have a more fulfilling experience time and time again. And listen to your body. And, there might not be any reason. Your body might just be like, not today, son. And honor that. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that not today.
Yeah, it's tough stuff, isn't it? Because there is this real guilt just saying oh, I don't feel like it. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And you're like, I literally just saw this I was going to say chick flicks. That's probably not an appropriate term in this Me Too moment, but a romantic comedy where the entire end of the love affair was the moment when they both said to each other, oh, we're tired. Let's not have sex.
Yeah.
And watching that moment, I mean, it's a movie, but watching that moment, I was like, that's not really fair. You're allowed to be tired and still be attracted to someone and like them.
Oh, yeah. And I think that that's a really good point. I know that I've had friends, I had a friend talking to me about it the other day, and they were like, oh my gosh, my partner didn't finish. What's wrong with me? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with you. In this situation, we all need to just get the hell over ourselves. It's not about you. Don't be like, am I fat? Do I smell weird? It's not always about you. Give that space for them because it can be a really vulnerable moment if you feel like you can't perform, you can't finish. And it's like, they're probably thinking the same thing. What's wrong with me? And so if you're like, oh, you don't like me, then it's just like, that's not really the case. Like, we can have the conversation, but maybe being like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like we want to get there? Should we keep trying? Are you tired? Do you need a little bit of a break? Do we want to talk
Yeah.
about it later? And is there
Yeah.
anything that I can do to help out? And is there anything you want to tell me so that I know and you can be honest with me? So I think just taking the blame and the nerve out of it and just pretending like you're talking about groceries,
Right.
not being so serious.
Oh, should I have got the barbecue flavor?
Sorry, I forgot that. Do you want me to get
Yeah.
it now or next time?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I wrote this. So I wrote a book about love and sex and all this stuff without being too self-promotional. There's a chapter in there that says, I would like you to talk about, I can't remember. I'm not known for my brains. I would like you to talk about uncomfortable things or something. Maybe we could put that chapter in there.
Yeah. I think I saw
really
an
empowering
Instagram
people.
quote of it.
What's that?
I saw it on your guys' Instagram, like a quote of it that I would like.
Yeah, just really, yeah. Well, the book is called Things I Would Like to Do With You, but the chapter is something like, I would like you to talk about uncomfortable things. And I think really encouraging people, the good news is when you talk about that stuff, it's actually not that uncomfortable if it's mutual. It's kind of fun, it's intimate, it's funny.
It is funny.
Funny stuff happens while you're having sex with people. That is not like what you see in a romantic movie.
Yeah. And I mean, we get this one image of sex fed to us all the time, but it can be totally different. Some people are going to carry on a whole conversation. Some people giggle and laugh sometimes. And, it's a pleasant surprise when you start to have those uncomfortable talks and you realize that your partner oftentimes shares some same, issues or same things they want to talk about. Your partner probably wants to voice a lot of stuff too, but is also holding back, I almost guarantee it's not one-sided, that there's things you want to say that are going unsaid. So if you open up that avenue, there's this whole new side of communication, and that leads to a whole new side of intimacy. And, my partner and I had some crazy talks last week, very difficult. And this week was probably the best week ever. So, you got to do the hard stuff to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like climbing or something. Like there's a lot of effort and challenge, and then you get to the top.
Yeah, you get
and you get through that tough conversation. You get to be more intimate.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
If we have any comments or questions, you can let me know. And you just wrote another poem, right?
Yeah, I did actually, and it has to do kind of with those hard talks, I would suppose. It's a bit short,
oh, cool.
But it's called I Get
Nervous. So we can put that in the comments, and people. Sorry, what is it called?
I Get Nervous When You Hold My Gaze During Sex.
So I Get Nervous When You Hold My Gaze During Sex is in the comments, and I encourage people to read that too. What were you saying?
That's all I was saying. Just that's what it's
called. Any comments or questions? And we encourage as many as possible. I think this opportunity, Brooklyn, I'm so delighted with how this is going, because it's like, how often is there a conversation about sex?
Not often enough.
In the public sphere.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read comments first. Love this open dialogue. Great education for those discovering their need for healthy.
Do you want to come over here and read it so people can hear you?
Sure.
Or do you want me to just read it?
Sure.
I think you should read it. Okay. All right. Ruth, love this open, honest dialogue. Great education for those discovering their need for healthy self-awareness and communication during intimacy. Thank you. It's so refreshing. From Leslie, that one?
This one is good.
Oh, Candy. I hate how as a society we've been made to feel ashamed for even speaking about sex, as if sex is a bad word. Yeah, we're all kind of like 12 years old about sex. Like, we're super excited about it.
Yeah.
We try to ban it. We try to do it privately without telling anyone.
Right.
We're all just like crazy about it.
Everyone is, yeah. I mean, I think that Leslie makes a great point that we're raised to have this shame, and it's silly because, if we're housing this shame, how can we even enjoy it? And so I think to work to let go of that shame. And I think a lot of that comes with getting to know yourself and being intimate with yourself, and then, having open communication with your partner. And whether it's casual sex, one night stand, whether it's a lifetime, decades together, it's all okay. It's all healthy for you as long as you are consensual and, you're having that open discussion. Be open with your partners. Like, that's the healthiest thing you can do for yourself, is be totally honest. And if they hate you for it, like, do you want to be with them? Mm-mm.
Right. Yeah, that comes back to, like, if they're a jerk, Like, what is that quote? Well, you said if they're a jerk, believe that they'll be a jerk. But there's this quote by like Maya Angelou or someone. She's like, if someone does anyone know what I'm talking about? If someone hurts you or something, believe them.
Like, oh yeah, it's like if someone shows you who they really are, believe them
the first time. It's something like that.
Yeah, no, and it's true. Trust your gut. And I think that a lot of us have that gut instinct and like something is off, but I don't have any proof, so I'm going to ignore it because I'm being crazy. Yeah. Your gut is right, dude. Like just trust your gut.
Yeah. And I do also, I mean, it's complicated, right? Because if we're talking about a kind of a jerk, like someone pushy, yeah, trust your gut. If you're talking about an awkward moment, communicate.
Exactly.
And maybe stop doing stuff while you communicate it.
Exactly. And I mean, before you run to your friends and you're like, what did I do wrong, whether you're a girl or a guy or anyone else, right. Instead of like worrying about it with your friends, because I have a lot of friends that talk to me about this because they know like, oh, Brooklyn's really open about sex. Like maybe she'll have some insight. And I love that. I love getting questions because I love to share. And I have like no qualms about laying it all on the table. So fire it at me. But also, before you're firing these questions at your friends, like, what did I do wrong? Just ask your partner first, instead of being like, is my partner gay? No, like maybe, who knows? Maybe he got fired at work today. Like, we don't know. So like before you run away with all of these assumptions, questions are good. Feedback is good. Assumptions are not. And so opening up the floor to
questions are good. Feedback is good. Assumptions are not.
Yeah.
Love that.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'm just repeating what you're saying.
I love it. You can do it all the time.
Yeah. So we had a question from Leslie. What if your partner is into porn and you're not? Is that the question? So thank you for the questions, and I encourage more. I know it can be kind of scary to ask questions about this stuff.
That's a really good question. What if your partner's into porn and you're not? I guess first having the conversation with yourself about what you are and are not okay with, doing with your partner or with your partner doing on their own. Because at the end of the day, your partner is their own autonomous person and they should be allowed to do the things that they love. But if it is having negative effects on your relationship with them, that's, I think, where the line can be drawn. I think that being able to be honest with that, if it's something that is really harrowing on you and your relationship and it's affecting your level of intimacy, then a conversation needs to be had that your relationship needs to take paramount over any hobbies on the side, always, especially if you love this person. And I think that they should understand that. But if it's something that, you don't like, but you don't necessarily mind if your partner is doing it in their free time when you're away, then, letting your partner know, like, I support you as long as it's not affecting how you view me and how you treat me, most importantly, as long as you're still open with what I'm into and what I like, and this is about us and not some fictional character in your mind. When you're on your own and knocking boots with yourself, I hope you have a good time. I hope you get there. And it's okay, whichever end of the spectrum you're at, if it's something that is affecting you, voice it always. Like, I think that you need to be selfish with your heart and with your self-care. And it doesn't mean you need to be mean to your partner. It doesn't mean you kick them out the window, but if it's something that really emotionally affects you, it's okay to hold your ground.
Yeah. And, as the guy in this conversation, I would say, if it's coming out of like jealousy, like chill out, That's a good point. Like it doesn't help to like shame your partner for enjoying self-pleasure. And let's face it, like everyone's attracted to a lot of people. Yeah. Like even if you're in love, it doesn't mean that they're not attracted to you.
Yeah, it doesn't diminish the affection and love and hearts that they have for you. It's just you gotta.
And the other thing I would say, sorry, go ahead.
Good, keep going.
The other thing I would say is like you said about assumptions, like don't assume what porn is. Like a lot of porn, when we think of porn, we think of like, and all respect to those who may have had certain procedures, but like we think of big fake boobs and like bleached blonde hair and like not particularly like mutual consensual sex, just kind of banging around. And, all that's fine, I guess. But personally speaking, as you know, like a mama's boy kind of guy, I like sex that actually is like shows two people. I mean, porn. I like porn that shows two people enjoying each other, and it's not degraded, which I know is a judgmental term, but that it's like kind of fun.
Yeah,
and
it mimics real life sex, the sex that you have.
Yeah.
And I think that that's pretty common for porn viewers. I enjoy porn, and I'm the same way. Like, I like to watch the porn that's similar to the sex I like to have. And so that can be another part of the conversation, is asking your partner, like, well, are you comfortable with me checking out what you're viewing? Because maybe it is something that's super degrading, that really offends you, and you don't want that to trickle into the bedroom. So you can always start with like, well, maybe there's some like guidelines we can follow for what you like to view. You know, if it's something that's
or maybe we can find porn that we both enjoy.
Yeah, mutual. I mean, giving it a shot is always good. You know, it's like I teach yoga, and I say it a lot. People will try yoga one time and never come back. There's so many kinds of yogas, you know. There's something for everyone, quite literally, and there's a teacher for everyone. But a lot of people will be like, I tried yoga once, I hate it, and they won't come back ever. And that's silly. And so with anything in life, whether it's yoga, porn, careers, dating apps, do your research. You might be surprised what surprises you, you know, and just being open with yourself.
Yeah. There was this, two things. One, there was this great article in the New York Times about how porn viewing is affecting young people's ideas about sex, most of it unhealthy. And it did mention that there are, I forget what it is, which makes me an awful interviewer or whatever, but on Reddit, there was a similar conversation, and Reddit is largely men. So it's really cool to see this conversation happening. Where they were encouraging people to search. It's like female friendly or something like that.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it was like female friendly or something.
The websites is like female friendly. It's like under categories on a lot of the adult websites. There is like a category that says female friendly. So
So yeah. I think we're echoing a ton.
Yeah, a little bit, huh? I think that's a really good point, though, is that, you know, how the New Yorker is like, oh, there's like children have this negative view on sex because of porn. And I think that loops back to what we were talking about earlier, which is having an open conversation with our young people, an honest dialogue about sex versus abstinence only. I'm sorry, parents, like your kids are going to, you know, do something. It might not go all the way, but by nature, we are sexual beings. We're just animals at the end of the day. And shame isn't going to keep your kids safe. And, you know, then they're going to be looking up things like porn, and they might be looking up porn that is not very consensual, not very it might be degrading, you know, and then that's the view they're going to get on sex from the beginning. And then we're raising a whole new generation of people that have no idea how to communicate intimately, whether it's verbally or physically. And so having an open dialogue with your children, having an open dialogue with your partner, with your friends, with the adult world around you, that's what's going to help. So then, you know, you are armed to find the videos that you like, or not find the videos that you like, but then you know.
Right. But just to realize that all of porn isn't one flavor, which is like whatever we think of it as. You can look for female friendly or whatever. So we are echoing. I might wrap this up.
That's fair.
Because I can't stand hearing myself twice. You have been so delightful. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Me too.
For your poem, for your presence, for your oh my God.
I know, it is a little crazy.
Yeah. This must be like what it's like if you never meditate.
This is what it's like if you never meditate. If you haven't tried it, start now.
Yeah, meditate a little. Brooklyn, you're amazing. I'd love to invite you back.
I'd love to do
keep
that.
Writing.
I will.
I want you to publish a book of your poetry or writings on
that is
whatever, but sex.
That is the goal. We are searching for some publishers, so cross your fingers for it. Let me know if you like sex poetry.
Well, just coming back to independence, you don't need publishers to publish a book and make tons of money and sell tons of books. I've self-published through Elephant, and it's been the best-selling book in like the big Boulder bookstore here for 2 years.
This is great advice. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, Brooklynn Bosworth, thank you so much. Read
Thank you,
her
Waylon.
poetry. And if you're in Hawaii, take a class.
Yes, please.
All right. Brooklyn.
Bye.